A thread by Carlos Osuita. For Giorgio Moro, presenting theories always makes people angry. This guy thinks I'm a Saudi. Giorgio says, Jesus, you Saudis are next level demented. If even 1% of what you're saying is true, Riyadh will be flattened. Is that what you call avoiding war? And you've convinced yourself a third of a nation's capital city can be flattened in an attack, and the attack will go unanswered because the Lebanese will just sit with their arms crossed in awe of the superior capability of their attackers. It's beyond stupid. A third of Beirut was not flattened. As you can see, that the apartment buildings across the freeway are intact. I know that what the Lebanese are doing, and it's actually quite brilliant. The official story is that 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate exploded because there was a fireworks factory in the same warehouse. To make the world think that this happened, the Lebanese are hyping the damage. Check it out. Lebanon driver tours destroyed city following massive explosion at Beirut port. Link in the description to live leak. Destroyed city? I've seen tweets from Lebanese journalists who say the damage is worse than in the Civil War of 1975 to 1990 and worse than the Israeli invasion of 2006. It's just not true. Lebanese Civil War and the 2006 war. The reason the 2006 damage was so great is that the Israelis had made two catastrophic mistakes. One, they had an unforgivable intelligence failure in not knowing how heavily armed Hezbollah was in terms of advanced tactical weapons such as anti-tank guided missiles. And two, for political reasons, the Israelis had almost eliminated the training of their reserves. Israel is able to field such large forces because they had always trained their reserves, older family men, to the level of the young conscripts. As a result, the Israelis found themselves in a fight for their lives against an enemy who inflicted enormous collateral damage on the Lebanese. The damage to Beirut from the port disaster can't even begin to be comparable to the damage of the Civil War and the 2006 war. But it's good that the cover story has been accepted. It's good that the Lebanese are not pointing fingers. The reason the Iranian missiles were destroyed was to avert a war. The guy who thinks I'm a Saudi is outraged that war was averted. Why? People like him can't tell you. Here's how things go in their world. You simply allow the enemy to attack you, killing however many of your civilians as the enemy wants. To try to stop the attacks is immoral. In which dimension does that make sense? There are tons of video of the Israelis using specially designed missiles at night to destroy Iranian missile depots in Syria. Unfortunately, in every case, some idiot is talking over them. So you can't hear the identical roaring sound of the fireworks exploding in Beirut. It appears that YouTube took down the videos that actually show what these attacks sound like. But here's the thing. The bases in Syria were destroyed at night. Someone took out the Iranian missiles in Beirut in broad daylight. That, my friends, is a message. As for the Lebanese attacking Saudi Arabia, with what? Besides, the Lebanese are going with the confiscated ammonium nitrate spontaneously exploded story. No retaliation. The Saudis keep their military capabilities secret. But we can see some of them. Using electronic warfare, EW, they make guided missiles veer off course and fly into the ground. The Houthis have fired hundreds of Iranian ballistic missiles at Saudi civilian targets. Less than 10 have actually hit. All the others were destroyed. First, you see a barrage of Houthi ballistic missiles being intercepted. Then you see a Houthi ballistic missile being steered into the ground. The Houthis fire from mobile launchers right over the border. Shoot and scoot. Some idiots say that the second video shows a Saudi interceptor going out of control and hitting the ground, but the warhead is far too big. Link in the description to the Patriot and ballistic missiles in Riyadh. Here's what I've discovered since yesterday. Way too many people are crippled by cognitive rigidity. They have no factual information on the topic, but they still have strong opinions that will not change. Ever. I go into all situations with an open mind. I look at what I'm seeing and I try to reverse engineer it. Take accidental ammonium nitrate explosions. What do they all have in common? The ammonium nitrate explodes piecemeal. There's a simple reason. Each portion of the stockpile heats up and goes off over a span of time. It never goes off simultaneously. Tianjin was said to be 900 tons of ammonium nitrate. The video is also in this thread, Tianjin, China explosion 2015 from YouTube. I counted 7 explosions in that video. The Lebanese say 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate went off in one explosion. I saw no open flames before the explosion, just a growing orange glow. Ammonium nitrate, VBIEDs, bombs, contain barrels that are wired together with detonation cord. This is what makes the barrels of ammonium nitrate explode simultaneously. See how the dome of water vapor in this other, it's another weapon, similar to the one that went off in Beirut. The dome of water vapor continues to expand, look, until it dissipates. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Looks just like the dome of water vapor from Beirut. Why didn't it dissipate in Beirut? 2 reasons. The explosion was not powerful enough to dissipate the vapor dome outward, and most of the blast effect went straight up, turning the dome into a donut. All right, here's your dome. Big, big old dome. Bam. And look, it does turn it right into a donut. Huh. This was a deliberate, controlled deflagration, not an accidental detonation. The evidence is inarguable. Now, what about destroyed buildings? I've been able to find only a handful, and like the one in the photo above, they were not destroyed by blast effect, and the buildings on either side are untouched. My guess is that these buildings were targeted. With what? No idea. But the new munitions use, quote, frangible casings. The casings are made of compressed plastic or steel, and when they detonate, they become dust. No evidence left behind. And they use thrust vectoring to steer, no control surfaces. This is a totally unidentified missile used in Syria. See, from my perspective, it looks just like a blob, but let's look at it for a second. It has a radio antenna and no flying surfaces, no wings or tail surfaces. The pink dot is the xenon beacon used by the missile gunner to guide it to the target. If the missile casing and internal components are made of frangible materials, there would be no trace after the missile hit its target. It has an antenna because it uses frequency hopping spread spectrum radio signals to guide it. The frequency is changed millions of times per second, so it can't be jammed. I'm the only person who's written about this. Cognitive rigidity, it's a killer. So I think the Iranian missiles were destroyed and a whole bunch of commanders were killed all at the same time. Check this out. Syria terrorists killed after planting IEDs on the Israeli border. Link in the description to the video. You know how they were killed according to the IDF? synchronized machine gun fire from ground forces and a missile fired from an aerial platform. Got that? The Israelis are able to automatically synchronize machine guns and missiles. The 4 terrorists are hit by the machine guns, and as soon as they fall, a missile destroys their bodies. There's absolutely no way that humans can synchronize ground fire and an airstrike. The missile is loitering overhead. It's connected to the machine gun electronically. The machine gunner is the only human element. He or she opens fire, and as soon as the targets are hit, the missile automatically finishes the job. This is what I've been talking about since 2015. Combined Arms Micro Teams, the third revolution in military affairs, 3RMA. A squad of strategic commandos uses machine guns synced up to aerial missiles. This idea was actually tried in rudimentary form in the M50 Ontos developed in the 1950s. The Ontos had a 50 caliber spotting rifle, a machine gun that the commander used to ensure that the recoilless rifles were on target. When the machine gun fire hit the target, the recoilless rifles were fired. The Ontos saw combat use in Vietnam. The problem was that the Ontos was incredibly vulnerable, and it had to be transported to the battlefield. Now, you have a squad of strategic commandos now with enough firepower to destroy main battle tanks. Loitering missiles can fly for hours. The US Marines are training as strategic commandos. That's why the Marines have dumped their tanks and heavy artillery. A squad of Marines will have even more firepower than a tank company and an artillery battery combined. The US Army will maintain the ability to hold ground taken if it ever comes to that, but the Marines will simply destroy the enemy's capabilities. That's their new job. Blow up everything. Let the Army worry about holding ground. The people who are the most angry at me and hold me in the most contempt are the ones who know the least about any of this. Don't kid yourself. The Iranian mullahs will start a war if they can. One was just averted, stopped, prevented. Today, in the US, we see leftists slamming the pedal to the metal in their attempt to alienate all voters in the country. Like the mullahs, leftists are ignoring all the unambiguous signs of a massive repudiation of the Democrats in November. They're relying on polls. It's exactly like 2016. Nothing has changed in terms of the polling, but suddenly everyone is eager to believe that the country will vote overwhelmingly for lawlessness, no police, no jobs, shakedowns, and permanent mob action. And here's something else. The Democrats have made a fatal error in hiding Joe Biden. When he finally comes back into the limelight, it'll be like Rock Hudson appearing after months in hiding. Rock Hudson and Doris Day, link in the description. Celebrities do this all the time. Jill Biden says Joe will attend all 3 debates. Everyone and his grandfather is telling Trump how to comport himself in the debates, but Trump will do fine. He'll neither coddle Biden nor take advantage of him. We had a massive drop in the collective IQ over the last 4 years. This is because people are being swept along by crowds. One of the reasons I admire Adam Krigler is that he appears to be immune to crowd following. He also doesn't seem to care what others think about him. Genuine individuals, regardless of their ideologies, will save us. They never suffer from cognitive rigidity. When a person is willing to make his or her own decisions despite the zeitgeist, that means the person is on the right side. The right side is those of us who agree on the end goals and don't hate each other for differing opinions. In this era, the person who remains calm despite the madness of crowds is the person who should be respected and emulated. Calmness is what will save us.